Hey folks, Zach here. Welcome back to the Murray Homestead. And today we're going to be doing a quick video on one of the most important tools on the homestead. And I'm going to be showing y'all how to change the blade on a chainsaw. And in this particular one, it's the Husky 455 Rancher. It's pretty heavy duty chainsaw. All right, so first things first, you're going to need a new chain. You're definitely going to want to look at the manufacturer's specifications and make 100% sure that the chain you're getting is going to fit your chainsaw. It's really easy to do. No matter what kind of chainsaw you got. I just changed this cheaper Ryobi one. So these Husky chains are really nice. They come pre-stretched. So that's cool. Then you'll need your little chainsaw tool. And if you lost it for whatever reason, you'll need a 1/2 inch socket and a flathead screwdriver. My other tools I got here is a file just in case, and a little gun cleaning brush just in case. Because while we're doing this, we're going to go and do a little cleanup too, which I highly recommend. All right. Oh, and safety glasses. If you're using compressed air, that's a non-negotiable. And then you're supposed to be wearing your gloves because chainsaw blades are sharp. Duh. All right, so first things first, we'll be working on this side of the chainsaw. And for y'all that don't know, basically you have the engine here. You have the bar cover here. That's a separate piece you'll see me take off. And then you have the bar itself. And most every chainsaw is about the exact same. So first things first, we're going to take off this bar cover. And all you got to do is use your little chainsaw wrench. Boom, boom. And take those two nuts off. Now, you can take your bar cover off, like so. And you can see while I'm going to be doing cleanup, between the sawdust from what you're cutting and then the bar oil, you really get some stuff gunked up in there. And so if you're going to be doing this, just clean it out real quick too. Yeah, they got roasted in there good. Damn. The first things first is you want to take your chain off of the bar, and you'll just kind of wiggle it as you lift the bar until you can get it loose. All right, so now that you got your chain off, and you'll see it goes around these teeth here on the front of your bar, through these guides here, that run the whole length of the bar, top and bottom, and then around the sprocket here. And underneath this clutch, that's what this circle is here, is the actual thing with teeth on it that's directly attached to the engine that actually turns the chain. So you'll wiggle your chain out of there and set it to the side. And now you can take your bar, pull it forward, and remove it. And you can see this portion here is what fits on to these two studs here. And I'll show y'all in a little bit the importance of these two holes here and here. But first we gotta clean this bad boy up. So y'all can see what I was talking about. You got your three main parts here: engine, bar cover, and bar. So I'm actually going to blow these down with compressed air and get as much of the sawdust and stuff as we can out. But before I do that, I'll just hit it quickly with a paper towel and get the bulk of all this mess out of there. And same thing on this side. All that bar oil and sawdust just cakes up over time. And so we'll just get the majority of it off. And here, all right, we'll take it outside and blow it down. All right, so first things first, we're gonna blow down this bar. And what I'm gonna do is just run this rubber tip down and get as much of the gunk and grime out of there as we can. All right, and then this is gonna be a good time to run your fingers across this bar here and check for any dings, because this is where the chainsaw blade is actually gonna run along. Again, while we're here, we got it pretty cleaned up. I'm gonna hit the whole thing with a decent amount of WD-40. Because again, that is where the chain follows. All right, and then I'm gonna hit this bar cover. And it's pretty messy, so again, safety glasses. Squeaky clean, and the engine last. All right, so while you're inspecting your bar, you wanna make sure, like I said, you wanna make sure it's straight and that these channels are all clear and that there's no little burrs sticking up in there. Another really big part, and it was a problem I had on my chainsaw, is this guide here up front. I guess you call it a gear, but it's really just where the chain guides. It guides the chain around the bar. Mine was pretty rusted up, and so I very carefully used a PB blaster and then a brass chisel to just barely knock it loose and get that rust off. And then now you can see it's completely free spinning, and that's what you want. And I'll show you what it should be like. You see that? Just with the air, you can spin it nice and easy. So that's what you want. All right, now we got everything back inside. We're gonna give everything a nice quick wipe down again. Crazy. Just wipe down this. Again, nothing crazy. You just want it as clean as is reasonable. All right, so now I'm gonna take my new chainsaw blade and get it all untangled. All right, and then you can see here on the chain, we have an inside and an outside. And how you can tell is the little sawtooth looking things that you would think is what is, like a sawtooth, is actually a guide that's gonna slide in these rails. And what's actually doing the cutting here is these little blocks here on top. And you can see there's actually, a very sharp edge there. So it's very important. The nasty teeth looking thing go on the outside, and the saw blade looking things that are thin are gonna go on the inside. So we're gonna lay our chainsaw here on the side and go and slide our bar on, like so. We're gonna start at the back from the sprocket. Work our way forward, like so. And you want to make sure these guides go all the way inside the rail like that. Okay, and then once you get all those guides inside the rail, while you're holding a little bit of tension on this bar, because right now this is free floating, you're going to put your bar cover back on, like so. And if it doesn't fit, just wiggle the bar very slightly back and forth. And I guess I'll go show you why right quick. Let me pop that back off. So this here, it's hard to see, I'll have a close-up here in a minute, is the chain tensioner. So by moving that little flathead screw forward and back, you're moving this little pin here back and forth. And remember I said that those holes in the bar were important? This pin fits inside that bar and will literally push the entire bar forward or backward to help you get chain tension. And I'm gonna go ahead and loosen it just a little bit so that pin is basically in the middle. Okay, so that's like the neutral setting. So set that cover back on, wiggle till we get a nice little pop. I actually need to move it back in some now. Okay, now we're fully seated and we're gonna finger tight these bolts back on, these nuts back on. Like so. All right, and it's important here to leave them finger tight. And I'll show you why. All right, so now our bar is back installed. It's the bar and chain. And side note, the brake needs to be back. So just make sure it's in the back position. But you can see how loose that chain is, and that is a no-no. So by turning that screw just a couple times, you can see that chain isn't sagging anymore. The manufacturer says that once the chain is warm, because you're going to have to do this again after you turn it on and warm up the chain, it's going to want to sag a little bit. The manufacturer says when warm, it should not sag more than 50 thousandths. If you don't have gauges and basically you want it to be snug, but loose enough that you can rotate it by hand with the brake off. And so that is looking about right. And so now we will tighten these two nuts back up. Snug, but don't go crazy with it. All right, boom. That is it. So that is how you change the chain on a chainsaw. Like I said, they're pretty universal. This Ryobi 18-inch has the identical procedure. Very easy. And then I'll have a video coming out on how to possibly salvage and sharpen this old chain with a file and a file guide. But that'll be a separate video. I hope y'all learned something. Pretty easy. You don't need any special tools. Technically, this is the only tool that you need. So thank y'all for stopping by. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the stupid bell, and I'll see y'all next time.